希望恐竜戦隊10連じゃ
Good evening, everyone. This is John. I'm with my brother Jay, and you are listening to Chojin-Chumps, where we are recording our very first episode of Zyuranger.
Yes, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome.
So it's exciting. It let me just forewarn you all. This is late night Chojin-Chumps. It is 11:30 my time, 10:30 my brother's, and let's keep it mellow. So, first episode, episode 1, The Birth. Let's begin with that opening. It starts with a simple narration that after millions of years, the Zyurangers are resurrected. Uh, tell me what you thought about it, because I think we have some of the same reactions to that.
You know, I really enjoyed it. Like, it was kind of campy but catchy enough. I find myself humming it at certain parts. It's a nice song, but I I gotta say though, and there's gonna be a small gripe that maybe we run into a couple of times. But man, compared to that kick-ass, tasty guitar riff of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, oof, it's tough. Each in their own thing, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed Zyuranger intro. I enjoyed Power Ranger intro, but boy, I would just it doesn't get me as pumped, but it is nice. I will say it's nice, and plus, I feel like it sets up things better than Power Rangers because Power Rangers is a sugar rush of an entrance where it's like here's the flashing lights, here's the action, here's the flashing lights. This it gives you the narration, and I want to point out like just in the intro video alone, you see these different environments that you never see in Power Rangers. You see the Rangers on
Definitely.
you see the Rangers on bikes, which Mighty Morphin didn't have. They teleported everywhere. It already kind of set a different tone altogether, which I am on board for.
So yeah, I agree. Tonally, it's completely different from Power Rangers. Now, again, we're not going to be sitting here comparing them together because they're apples and oranges, but
I will.
but you have it where it's super interesting to see Zyurangers is campy, it's nice, it gets you pumped in the same way I would argue that like hearing the Digimon theme song at the end of the episode does. You know what you're getting, you're excited about it. Uh, and then the opening itself. You mentioned the different landscapes that we never see in Power Rangers. I was super excited because you see the shots focus on their weapons and their rides, which don't get as much attention in um, Power Rangers. Because let's face it, their weapons were used every so often against monsters of the day. They almost never use their vehicles. And then you also got to see their Zords, and their Zords do more than the Power Ranger Zords. You actually see them interact on a singular level, an individual level. There we go. That's a better way of phrasing it. And I'm excited for that. Uh I'm hoping with this opening that it's gonna fulfill its promises.
I
Um
I will say it is later, so I'm kind of a bit more mellowed out. But on the inside, I'm super bubbly. This was like this made me feel like that childish wonder and excitement that I used to get when watching Power Rangers. And maybe it's just because this is unknown territory. It showed us a new path. But yeah, I'm coming in already on high note, and I just want to just point out the elephant in the room. Um, if you couldn't tell from the outfits whenever you looked at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Yellow Ranger Trini, she didn't wear a skirt, and that's because in Zayu Ranger, it is a man. Simple
mhm.
enough. Might as well just go ahead and throw that 2 cents in.
Well, since you chose to bring it up now, I would have waited for the Ranger introductions, but uh, I'll go ahead and throw this out there. because I found it interesting and I've been trying to avoid saying it for literally since I found it. Did you recognize any of the characters thus far?
The actual actors or
Mm-hmm.
um actually no.
We have seen one of them before, and since you're giving me a look, a puzzled look, mind you, I know you can't see it, but he's racking his brain for this. He also had the same name as the character he played last time in Jetman.
Oh, you son of a bitch. This is gonna be eating me up.
Okay.
Should we
Okay.
just wait? Should we just wait and you can just throw this in my face when I'm ready?
Yeah, you know what? Let's see if you can guess it before the Ranger introductions.
You're a son of a bitch.
So,
I'm not, but let's go.
so it begins with the planet Nemesis, not the moon, Nemesis. And there's a rocket on its way there to explore this terrestrial body that's making its way there. My first gripe is it's 2 adults and 2 kids. Why the fuck are you bringing kids
Look,
to
man.
any planet?
Look, man. First of all, what makes you think Planet Nemesis isn't child appropriate?
Time out. Time out. Kids don't even belong on Earth sometimes. Taking them to other planets is like an invasive species, okay?
Hey,
But yeah,
cards on the table. I like to think, oh no, where are the kids? I thought you were watching them. Fly to Earth, fly to Earth. This was their way of ditching them.
look, all I gotta say is it's the same level as teaching miners to be astronauts instead of astronauts to mine.
But no, yeah, I saw that immediately. I was like, okay, sure, why not? But in all fairness, let's keep on because what happens with this crew already was impressive to me.
So then they're excited. Everyone's excited about this.
Yeah,
And
all of Japan is watching.
yeah, and we can only assume the world. Uh, and then it's focusing on this old man who's just sweeping out in front of, I assume, an apartment complex. Uh, that he's like the keeper of. However, when they land on planet Nemesis, he sees the news and gets freaked out, and he starts hobbling along up. At that point, the adult astronauts are up on Nemesis and they hop out, and what do they find? The space dumpster.
Well, not a dumpster here. Though I will say,
It still looks like a
it
trash
does
can.
look like a magical trash can. I can't deny it. But it is the seal. How do we know it's the seal? Because that old man sprouts a gremlin ear.
Dude, when I first saw that, I was like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? But he sprouts his fucking gremlin ear, and he's listening to them on Nemesis.
No, wait. I just want to point this out. That's not like his true form or anything. When he becomes the character he does become, he doesn't have these big ass ears. He just grows it for this.
I thought they were already a little pointy when he transforms.
Okay, dude, there's pointy and then there's that.
Yeah, it was elongated. Anyway,
Let me put it like this: Legolas saw those ears and went, "Damn."
so yeah, and he's like, "Don't do it. It's the seal." And I'm like, "I've seen Mighty Morphin. I'm ready for this.
Well,
What's gonna happen?"
I was just like, they can't hear you in space, sir.
That's not how space works. Uh, and so they release the bad guys. They release the whole cast of bad guys, at least the main cast. And okay, my dude, those names. Like, look, again, not trying to compare the two, but these names, with the exception of like 2, are terrible. So you get Bookback, this gremlin monkey thing, who
No,
carries.
that wasn't the monkey one. That was the short, rotund.
No, hold on, time out. You're right. Topat is more monkeyish. I still think Bookback is monkeyish as well.
Well, more in like an ape way.
Okay, yeah, we'll say gorilla.
Fair enough.
So yeah, you have Bookback, which I think he actually does carry a little book bag with him. Just okay. Pleprecon.
That is the one that broke me because look, man, Not that Finch was a great deep name in general, but what the hell is Leprechaun? At one point I absolutely love it because I'm like, yeah, that's a magical name. On every other aspect, I'm like, I'm gonna have to say this multiple times in this podcast, sir. How? Please think better next time.
Then you have Topat, the one that does look like a monkey with wings. He looks like he should be in Oz.
Hmm.
Then you have Griff Orzer, and I'm stoked for him because you know what's coming, and I am that is the Goldar of this series, and oddly enough, he's based on a Manticore. Like I said before, I didn't realize that, but when you look at him, it's like, yeah,
Well, and
head of
that's
a lion, kind of uh freaky
in
kite in his body.
in America for Power Rangers. If you read the comics and you get an origin, like Goldar's race is more like akin to apes, which I saw that and I was like, oh, okay, I can see it. But the moment you told me he's based off of Manticore, I'm like, that fits way better. And not that any of them is bad, but I will say Grifforzer, however you want to pronounce it, it does not carry that same spark and weight that I enjoy when I hear Goldar.
But Griffithser sounds better than all the other names thus far, and it fits. Like I can say, yes, you don't sound ridiculous. You sound foreign, yes, but you're also foreign. So, okay.
Yeah, fair enough. I can't dock you points on that.
And then you get
The big
the the
baddie.
the Mac Daddy herself, Bandora, and in typical Bandora fashion, she stretches and she is exuberant at being let free. She's like, "Oh, Earth, my my old home," kind of thing. And I thought that was a uh weird phrase because I wasn't sure if like she actually lived there or she had conquered it before. And then, mind you, she doesn't wait too long. She displays her magic powers and immediately just poofs the astronauts, just blows them up
She full on is like,
back to Earth, right?
I don't even think they made it. I just think they're in space somewhere, dude.
My
Because she
dude,
looks at them and is just like, oh, thank you for releasing me. Let me do something for y'all. And then just goes all, just blows all this hot air, launching them into space. I don't know
and,
if they made it to Earth.
and we'll see that again. We'll see that again. Her kind of doing that in later episodes where she's like, "Oh, you wanted this? Let me go ahead and give it to you in a terrible, terrible way," which is way better than Rita's petty. You're raising money for charity. Fuck you. I'm not feeling good. Pudgy pig eat their food. So yeah,
I just want to say though, when she woke up, and yeah, you're right. She looked at Earth. She's like, "Oh, it's been so long," and they tell her. She asks, Bookabak, how long have I been asleep?
I noticed that you marked exactly how long it was.
Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like it's worth noting that they made it exact point that it has been 170 million years, 4 hours, 3 minutes, and 20 seconds. Which, and like you kind of said, where she's like, my old home. So I'm like, is it your home? Because that was a long ass time ago. But either way, I think I absolutely love this entrance.
Oh yeah. Uh,
Oh no, and it
then
only gets better from there.
oh yeah, yeah, because then it goes back to Earth and buildings start moving, Monty Python style. Like they're ready to go raid other companies and take over shit. Because as they're coming together, they start coming together, and suddenly they kind of combine, and you just see a building land from the top with um I don't know how to describe it because we don't really see it in Power Rangers, but it's Bandora's Palace, and it has a bright ass neon sign that even says it.
Well,
Bandora's Palace.
it was her house. It was just you
Yeah,
didn't
but it
have
was
the
on the
gaudy.
moon
No, yeah, but you didn't have the gaudy sign saying like. And you know why they don't have the sign, right?
because her name's not Bandora.
There you go, kids. There's your fact for the episode. I
Thank you
don't
for
know why
tuning
I
in.
thought that was a deeper nugget of knowledge, but there you go.
So again, and you know what? If Goldar, at least in the American version, is based off of monkeys, all her people, with the exception of what is it, Finster,
Yeah.
is basically based off of monkeys. And then she does this really, really um Wizard of Oz esque thing. She flies on a bicycle around, followed by Griffizer, her flying monkey, manticore thing, and she's just talking shit. She's like, I all this life I want to reduce it to a rock. Humanity is garbage, and y'all love each other. So anyway, she starts blasting, quite literally.
She for I literally in my notes I just put strong flex because
Yeah,
immediately coming down to earth it's like, first of all, fuck your buildings. Let me pull them together. Let me take this one to specifically put my palace on. Come out here, chew y'all out for something y'all don't even know about. And you know what? Fuck this building. Just
yeah.
boom, blows it up.
In one episode, she has done more damage than Rita Repulsa had done in the entire fucking series.
and
Unless you count the emotional damage she did to Lord Zed.
and Tommy Oliver.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. If you count Tommy as her, yeah. So Bandora appears at the top of the old man's building, and she's just talking shit to him. Turns out he is the Zordon character. He's going to be the mage Barda, who Bandora defeated and stole his spells. And you see,
Barda. I'm not sure how it is pronounced, but it's spelled Barza.
is it Barza?
I hope so. If not, I'm mixing up my Z's with my D's.
I might have, I might actually have just misspelled it once and kept it. So look that up for me while I talk shit about him, because you see, Rita was always just an enchantress. She mostly casted minor spells and made her monsters grow.
Barza.
Is Barza? All right.
Yeah.
Who is Barda? I feel like Barda is probably from Lord of the Rings.
I know
Somewhere.
Bartok is a cat. Is a not cat. A
He is the
bat.
magnificent bat. Thank
Yes,
you very
Bartok
much.
the Magnificent.
Um,
He's also a well-known sorcerer, if you believe it or not. But this isn't his podcast yet.
um. So no, you actually see her fight magically. She she points at a hose. It wraps around him and becomes a snake. And albeit the old man has lost his edge somewhat, but he also uses his magic to cause it to fall to pieces. And she's like, "Oh, I guess you still have a little magic left in you."
Um, and this is a good time as ever to bring up, because when I was doing some research for this,
Mhm.
this is the series that pushed Sentai into a magical element. All before this point, it was more military and tech based. This is the first real series that's like, hey, let's throw some mysticism in it. Let's make witches the enemy. Let's make it magic based. It's no longer just a government scientist made this for the sake of protecting Earth. No, it was like, and in my opinion, magic makes it so much deeper. It makes it so much because when you make an organization, when you make it the military, you can't help but draw the borders. You know what I mean? There, I know Jetman did a job between the world police, the world military. So it was like, oh, okay, we're fighting for everyone. But when it's magic, it feels like there's no borders. It's just there, and I enjoy it more.
But Jay, without tech, how do you explain the morphing grid?
You know what? The morphing grid, it's in your heart. Boom.
Fair enough. Um, so she taunts him before she leaves. She's like, "Well, we have the kids, and there's nothing you can do about it."
And when she says she has the kids, you get his pants to Booker back and Top Pat, literally setting up a Tom and Jerry contraption of
Yeah, I put a Rube Goldberg machine.
of here's a spike ball tied to a rope, which is going to have a magnifying glass aiming the sun to burn through the rope to kill two children.
Wait, hold on. It's important to note. So the kids didn't leave the rocket, and I don't know when this happened because I don't recall seeing it. But at some point, she miniaturized the rocket and took it with her. So now she has these kids in this rocket that they have put in this machine that's just slowly in an hour supposed to crush them for no reason other than I gotta give you time to save them because I can't just smash them.
But she does make a point, and she will make this point repeatedly that she hates children.
Oh yeah. So the old man, Barza, is like, this is not good. So he runs to the elevator, puts in a secret code, and it takes him down and goes into an odd dino temple. Almost, it reminded me of almost of Ghostbusters when you open up the door to the roof and suddenly you just have that temple there. So, he calls out to the Dino Guardians, the Dinosaur Guardians, to wake the warriors to restore peace to the world.
Real quick though, I would go on to say, as far as secret bases go,
Mhm.
I really like this. Again, comparing it to what Mighty Morphin has, as cool as that building was in the desert, standing on top of that little rock fragments. This again, I love the mystic element. So opening it up, and you're seeing the water, and it's this bridge leading to a temple with the stone dinosaur guardians. I ate that shit up, dude. I absolutely adored it.
Okay, and you're gonna love this because I wrote it down too. So he grabs the keys, and on each door, there's 5 of them. There's a dinosaur symbol, and the guardians are in there. And he goes to open up, and it opens to the fucking Phantom Zone.
Oh, I wrote that
Yeah.
too.
So he opens up. I don't know the exact order, but he opens up. So I have it started here with May. He opens up the pterodactyl one. Opens up. He's like, May, we need you. There's no time to put on makeup. He goes to the yellow, and he's like, boy, which is the saber-tooth tiger. He's like, we need you. And he's doing this all. And then when he gets the Tyrannosaurus, when he gets to red, the key breaks off inside. So everyone's coming out, but they can't get Geki, the Red Ranger, which is a good way to stall the Red Ranger's appearance. I wrote that.
I put uh first of all, yeah, it's the Black Mammoth Rangers Goshi,
Mhm.
Yellow Tiger Rangers Boy,
Yep.
Boy. Blue Tricera Ranger is Don, Pink Terror Ranger is May, and we don't meet the Red because he's trapped in there. And like you said, that already puts a level of importance where it's just like, okay, he's gonna have a grander interest. But I do want to point out when they were being called, when they were coming out and introducing themselves, they were called Knights and Princess. Like they were addressed that. That was part of their titles, which I already thought was interesting.
We'll get to that because he mentions it a little bit later. But we're finally here at the character introduction. So tell me one character you might have recognized from the previous Sentai series.
Okay, let me look at the names. It's not Goshi. That dude has too long of a face. It's not the Black Ranger. I know it's not May, or at least I don't think it is. I the women are pretty noticeable. Um, I'm gonna say boy. Is it boy?
Show me boy. Nope.
Ah,
I'm
fuck.
sorry.
Was it Don?
No, it was Don. And the best part about it is he played another character named Don in Chojin Sentai, who was also blue. He was the fucking annoying bird who brought Bird Garuda.
No. Wait,
Yep.
really?
Yeah,
Okay,
I looked it
dude.
up. They mentioned that.
Okay, well, first of all, I don't feel bad anymore. That mofo was there for 2 episodes, and I only acknowledged him for one. Okay. I'm not gonna say too much about his role in Jetman, except I hated it. Go watch Jetman; it's a good series. But yeah, I would have never got that. And you know what? You didn't notice that. You just read the fact, didn't you?
I read it and I looked it up because I was like, "There's no way this is true," and I was like, "Oh, it was."
Okay. The
All
points
right.
are the points go to you today, sir.
So, yeah, that's your little Jetman trivia for the
But
day.
going back, so Red is trapped in there, and they're like, oh, you see them trying to bust the door down, but finally, Barza is just like, we don't have time. I'll get him out. Y'all go save the kids.
Okay, hold on. During that time, though, he mentions, and this becomes important and will become important later, that they're divided into tribes, and they've each been there. Uh, Basically, he doesn't go into too much detail, but they've been put there to defend against Bandora should she return. So you already have this kind of uh, almost culture, you know what I mean? Where it's no, you have your tribes, but you're also one group defending humanity. Um, and so yeah, then like you said, Barza sends them off, and they go to Bandora's palace. They're just there, and they enter it. Uh, and it takes them to the beach, and they're like, "Oh, what's this?" And they see these little weird mud dolls, and they're dancing. It's cute, and they get near them, and the fucking dolls morph into the putties and straight up punch them in the face.
Just uppercuts them like sure you can. Just like full on decks them. And it was
And
wonderful.
yeah, to see these little dancing putties suddenly punch him in the face. You also see these odd, like semi 3D effects. You saw that, right?
Yeah, because Bondora, uh, very much like early screensaver effect going on the on because they're at the beach, so the sky turns into dark. You see this portal open. There's Bondora. She's gigantic. She reaches out when her hand turns somewhat 3D, what he can be at the time, and she shoots magic at them, like full on lightning bolts them, and then again, it's really impressive just how strong because they're making it known early on. Bandora doesn't play.
Oh
She
yeah.
is a threat.
So because of this, the four are almost immediately captured. Like I don't think I've seen Rangers be this bad at their job. Uh
Well, in all fairness, technically not Rangers yet. Because Barza and all his wisdom in sending them off didn't give them their ability to morph, as we'll later find out. But speaking of Barza, you know, this great wise sage. Now that they're captured, we go over and we see how is he handling that door. And the mofo pulled out a cannon, a small little cannon, shot it at the Red Ranger's door. Had to no effect. At that point, he's just kind of like, "Welp,
I've done what I can do.
I'm done with that." And you know what? In all fairness, if a door doesn't open with a cannon blast, I'd probably give up. But
So
now we go back to the
yeah.
Rangers.
And once again, Bookback and Topat are doing what they do best, apparently. And once again, you have this ridiculously convoluted fucking death machine because they are hung up above in a cage above a fire that is being rotated. Uh, and everyone's just watching. They're just enjoying the show.
Um,
And
yeah, go
yeah,
on.
no, I was gonna move on. So if you had something to say about it,
No, yeah. I literally wrote barbecue. They bring the fires around them. They are spinning them around. It is just like it's like, look, we're going to kill you with this, but we want you to be extremely annoyed while we do it.
yeah, it's a tad bit sadistic and even still dumb. But it goes back to Barza being inept, and finally the Dino Guardian shoots a laser beam from its eyes, right,
Yeah,
and opens the door, and Geki goes to rescue them.
at the speed of however fast he needs to be to make it happen. Because from our point of view, his door opens, he takes 2 steps, and he's already opening the main door at Bendora's palace.
Yeah. I don't know how they get around. So at
Hey,
that moment,
but can I say something though?
yeah,
Um,
it's a podcast. That's kind of the point.
well, shit, you got me. But when he's releasing the Red Ranger and everything's not working, because realize he didn't ask the Dino Spirit for help. He literally was just like, I guess we're sunk, and the spirit released him. But at that moment, it kind of clicked for me what Barza reminded me of. And I don't think everyone's gonna get this reference, but you will, because we've seen this hundreds of times. But you know, Santa Claus is coming to town. Remember
Yes. I saw your notes on that.
yeah, the evil wizard who, by the end of the movie, because he's not evil anymore, he loses his magic. Because at that point, I'm just like, Barza, man, look, I know she said you lost your spells, and you know maybe you're just here for the wisdom, but come on, man. Because I just put, man, aren't you a useless sage? Because it's like, well, the cannon didn't work, huh? I
And
guess
all
I'm
I
done
have
here.
is this corn that makes reindeer fly. um,
But yeah, and it's Prince Geki, and he
yeah.
rushes forward.
So he escapes the Phantom Zone, gets to Pandora's palace, and is immediately attacked by Zor. And it's intense. And I'm like, this is what I want to see, because you knew he was going to have that conflict. If you've seen any Power Rangers, if you've seen any Mighty Morphin, you know Goldar and the
Jason.
Red Ranger Jason are going to go at it. So I was ready for this,
And
it did not disappoint.
Oh no, and here's the thing. Look, if you came into Power Rangers later, by towards the end of Power Rangers, Rita's original group, they were dopey. They were purely for comedy. Rita herself was purely for comedy because the only one they needed as a villain was Zed, and so
Yeah.
everyone else took such a dive in quality. But Goldar at the start was one of the most menacing creatures
I would
ever.
argue he still is.
Oh yeah, I have not run into any creature in Power Rangers or Sentai that will ever really compare to Goldar. But I will say, I will say that you a fun little trivia thing is, if you don't think Goldar is badass, in the Green Ranger song, the custom Green Ranger song they gave him when he sing, literally for whatever reason there's the lyrics, you know what I mean, Goldar is gonna get you tonight. And this is a song about the Green Ranger, so it's like, that's how badass Goldar is. We're injecting him into other people's theme songs. But no,
Um,
yeah, he launches into battle and it's already exactly what I want.
so he Geki does rescue the group. Um, and they get into a little fight. So real quick question:
Standard
yeah,
putty fight with
did you
Griffosaur.
notice? Did you
Yeah.
notice May just straight up shoot a couple in the face with her arrow?
Yeah, and this is something we glossed over. These guys have their own weapons and
Prehistoric weapons.
prehistoric weapons.
So like a spear, bows and arrows, an axe, right?
Daggers.
Geki? Daggers.
Daggers and a sword. But it's pretty much like just basic, like you said, prehistoric. It's not like fancied up. It's not tech. It's not really anything. I don't even think it's really steel weapons. They look borderline stone weapons. But
And
yeah,
we'll deal with that later in the series,
oh
actually.
yeah, but yeah, she full on just shoots a couple in the face.
Um, and so I like to see the use of the weapons because, like I said, in Mighty Morphin, you don't see that a lot. So seeing them use it here before they even transformed is pretty awesome.
And in all fairness, it makes sense why you don't see it in Power Rangers because it's not tied to them. Because look, in what Power Rangers was these random teenagers were chosen because they have attitude and a good heart, but that doesn't automatically make them an expert in combat or anything.
I
You
mean,
mean,
you would have fooled me.
but yeah, Jason is just a dude who practices karate. You give him a sword, that doesn't by default make him great with a sword.
You
Though,
also would have fooled me.
well, and actually, in all fairness, I think they kind of retcon stuff in the comics. But either way, we're not going too deep. But for these characters, yeah, it's like they've already experienced and trained with them. But either way, yeah, it's great to see. I already enjoy it a lot.
So at that point, Barza is like, "Hey, you guys, you need your medals. And he chucks them at them.
Hey, what an
And
arm!
yeah,
What an
literally,
arm!
he hobbles up to the top of the building and just throws them. And Geki and the gang, yes, he skeets them out.
Well,
And
look,
Geki and the gang,
he had no magic. What do you think he's been doing for the last 170 million years? He's been working on that arm strength. He's been doing those grandpa exercises.
Geki and the gang run out, catch their medals, and in doing so, gain the ability to transform. Uh, did they transform at this point? I
Mhm.
think they did, right? Yeah. So as Rangers, they don't use their weapons as much. Uh, and as they're fighting, an interesting thing happens. When they beat putties, they turn back into mud.
Yeah, but
Uh,
real quick, let me ask you though,
mhm,
because we saw their first morph. First of all, they have their morphers are called the Dino Bucklers.
mhm.
Pop those coins in, and just morph in time. But let me ask you, because I mean, for me, your first morph holds a lot of weight. And it kind of sets you up and lets you know what this is. And again, I hate to say it, Power Rangers morphing, they make it a point. The music hits. There's a screen where it's both where you see the characters shouting the transformation. This one, even as far as Sentai goes, when I saw the morphing in Jetman, I kind of expected more. I was kind of disappointed because I'm like, this is your first morph. This is your first time showing your ranger to the world. And I was like, I absolutely love it, but it was also kind of lackluster in a lot of ways to me.
Like, I agree. I kind of understand why they did it because it was in the middle of a battle. They didn't have time to necessarily
Pose.
stop. Yeah. However, I'm gonna say, I'm. I agree. I agree. But I also think that we're going to see. I think the real comparisons you and I are going to be making is not between uh, Mighty Morphin and this, but rather uh, this and Jetman, because I have several things I want to bring up in a little bit um, about it, and it does pertain to how the group is, so to speak, and their characterization. Uh, so yeah, we'll talk about it at the end of episode 2 when we do our little recap real quick.
Yeah, but they
So
morph, they go into combat, and I gotta say, I love the choreography. I feel
yeah,
like there was way more effort put into this, more acrobatics. And I know, look, if you want like martial arts realism, yes, this is gonna be closer to the Jackie Chan than it is the Bruce Lee. But hey, man, that's the fun of it. That's what gives it its charm and its childishness. But it was still done super well and super clean. It wasn't super stiff like we had seen. Yeah, I mean, prior in other
yeah.
shows.
So uh, Boy uses the Ranger gun, and I think it's useful, but at the same time, it's kind of dinky and doesn't do much. So I don't think they're going to be using it all that often. Hopefully, makes me uh look forward to their upgrades. And then we get more Griffizer versus Red. Uh, they both seem to be hitting each other, but really only uh Geki seems to be taking damage at all.
Yeah,
Griffizer is tanking that shit.
I legit wrote Gryffindor gives no fucks. I was like, hey, you showed up, nice flashy entrance. I'm gonna kill you. Oh, you
Yeah,
morphed? You morphed? That's really cool. I'm proud of you. I'm still gonna kill you.
yeah.
Gryffindor does not care. He is just as being a pure combat, and I am here for it.
Oh yeah. And so they're fighting, and at the same time, uh, May and Dan get sent to save the kids, and they do at the last moment. They pull the shuttle up, and just then, a fucking arm just bursts through the wall and grabs it, and you're introduced to Dora Titan. This giant creature looks like a gladiator, and I dig it. And that's where it ends. Uh, right?
Let me see. Well, yeah, he grabs them, and then just literally the palace himself, palace, Dora Titan, and the shuttle. They just all teleport away.
Yep.
Which and that ends it. But I just think it's funny that Bandora makes it a point, teleports her and her palace away. She ain't fixing those fucking buildings. That's Tokyo's mess to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I completely remapped your city. Fuck you.
So, then we go into the ending theme song, and it is goofy as fuck. So, in Sentai, from what we've seen, they like to do a lot of chasing around, fun, rangers having fun, being ridiculous, or putting them in odd things like wedding dresses and the like, um, or having the putties do weird stuff. So it's kind of fun. However, in Chojin, uh, Sentai Jetman, the ending fit the theme. It was all about love, and that series was all about love triangles and uh, the like. This one doesn't have a connection to the theme uh, at all, really. It's just them being goofy. And then I saw something that like blew my mind and made me just kind of groan. They had the flying fucking car. You saw that, right? I, I was like, that's a Sentai thing? I thought that was a dumb Power Rangers gimmick. But no, apparently that stupid car was trapped in the sand and is a Sentai thing. So I'm gonna have to deal with that stupid ass thing for this season.
You know what, man? I think it's hilarious that when an idea is so bad, we just assume it's Rangers. We just assume, oh, this is so stupid. This has Saban's name written all over it. But it was childish. It was goofy. But at this point, I was like, okay, it's odd, but this was such because here's the takeaway from this first episode.
Mhm.
Like I said, they didn't really focus on the transformation. They didn't focus on really. They didn't focus on much of any of the Ranger stuff yet. It kind of just threw them all in, and so just like with this ending, I don't mind it, uh, because I don't know who these people are yet. I don't know. I mean, you're saying it's goofy, it's them goofing around. We haven't seen them as a group dynamic hanging out yet or anything like that. And so at this point, I'm like, you know what? It's weird. I don't think it really fits exactly, but I don't know these characters yet. Let's see what
Okay, so
happens.
since you bring that up, I guess this is a good time to bring up my big issue thus far. By this point in Jetman, we already were intimately familiar with the characters. Because Jetman, you had character archetypes. So you knew the Yellow Ranger, Raida. All he wanted to do was garden and eat. You met Guy, uh, the bad boy delinquent who wasn't gonna deal with stuff. Uh,
I'm not gonna save the world because you told me to.
exactly. You had Kyōryū, the Ojo-sama. Uh, what's her face? I know her name. Akko,
Yeah,
because Akko's noodles.
yeah.
uh,
Akko's noodles.
Akko, the teenage girl, and then Ryu, the Street Fighter character. That
Yeah,
they each had a personality type given to them, and we didn't need to get to know them in that way. You felt like you knew them already. Here, we're already in the second episode, and I can tell you, even at the end of the second episode, you don't get a feeling for really who they are. And I kind of feel like that's a problem. Like you get little hints, but yeah, it's a shame when we were already given characters to root for in the last season.
it feels like, and in all fairness, again, this is our second Sentai series, so we don't know how the other series were exactly. We have no knowledge to pull from them. But I will say, it feels like while Jetman wanted you to know the characters right off the bat, and they did a stellar job of doing that. This
Yep.
series wants you to know the villain, because that's what this whole first episode really was. It was just literally, you could sum this first episode as Pandora flexing on the world.
Yeah.
Literally, it's her being released. It's her reshaping the world. It's her chewing out the city. It's her blowing up with the. When the Rangers do come in, they're already on such a tight deadline because she imposed a tight deadline on them. So this whole first episode is just Pandora setting the pace from the get go. Now I agree. Yeah, I want to know who these people are, and it's a shame because it was the first episode. In all fairness, it's a two-parter. For all we know, this could have debuted as an hour special.
But like I said, even still, by the end of the second episode, we don't know him any better. And speaking of which, so I we're running. This is gonna be a long episode. Uh, so I'm gonna go ahead and gloss over some things. If you have anything to say, just interrupt, and I will let you have it. Okay.
Okay.
So it begins with a brief recap because it is a two-parter, I believe. Um, the news is arguing, and one dude, I thought this was hilarious. One dude is like, "It's aliens," and the other newscaster immediately says, "You always blame aliens." So, I mean, yeah. And then it shifts to their secret base. Dan is reading a book and laughing, and Boy literally throws knives at him. Uh, no fucks given, and they use this excuse. May gives them a lecture about how this isn't the time to be reading and having fun, and they use this excuse to go to the big book of history and tell us basically what happened.
which comes back. I'm not sure how relevant this big book is. It's in this episode. It's in the next episode. But it's
Hmm.
kind of like it's going to be your little tome of knowledge, where it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, let's see where we go with this. But yeah, it moves them along. But I will say, I feel like that was our first real look at what these characters are, and it was very brief. But Don is more childish. He's laughing at reading a book, even though what's going on, and you'll even see a touch of it in this next episode as well. Not much. Again, it goes very scarce at these starting episodes about who these people are. But yeah, Don is being childish in a lot of ways. Boy is snapping at him, is being super stern and serious with him, while May is being like that voice of reason between the two. So I didn't mind it, and also just like Geki is being clearly set up. Geki the Red Ranger is clearly being set up as the leader.
Yeah, there's
And
no question about it. He's already the leader, basically.
which is important to note because that was not that it was disputed in Jetman, but it didn't feel like it.
You had to be recognized, and at the beginning, he wasn't recognized as the leader.
but
Um,
but either way, we're shifting what I call WTF history because boy, science was gonna love hearing all of this.
yeah, because 170 million years ago, dinos and humans lived together, divided into five tribes that each one worshipped a dino. Uh, this is important to note because I wrote this down. Only two of the five are actually fucking dinosaurs:
Hey man,
Triceratops and T Rex.
hey, you know what also wasn't there with the dinosaurs?
People.
Fucking humans. So
However, we were there with mammoths, so
yeah, you know what? I'm not here. I'm not here for the factual scientific integrity. I'm here for magic and blowing shit up.
which is good because during that point in time, Bandora appears and just tries to destroy Earth. Uh, so flipping through the cool picture book, uh, you get to see the scenes of them fighting, and essentially, this at this point, Geki comes in, and it's weird because while the rest seem to have talk about it as past tense, Geki says he lost his family and his 10-year-old sister in it, which means, like, I guess they were there for that, but Geki was more there than them, if that makes sense.
Um,
Uh,
I imagine because they're called knights. They're called the warriors. It was a war. I assume they were in the mix of it. Geki as a prince, just probably held a more prominent role in a different area. But
Maybe, yeah.
either way, it actually didn't matter. Like the tribes put up a fight, but as we go to find out, they didn't defeat Bandora.
Yeah.
And I wrote this down because I put a question mark at the end of this note in the beginning because I was like, did Barza defeat Bandora? But no, because as we find out, it was the Guardian Beast.
Yes.
Which makes me question sentient Zords.
I'm going to say yes because looking at what we've seen, I even wrote it down later because, spoiler alert, they do call them and they come. Um, so yeah, you have sentient Zords, which is awesome because the closest thing we have so far is Tetra Boy, which is as sentient as it could be.
Oh
But
yeah,
they do stuff on their own apparently, and it was the Dino Guardians who helped turn the tides and banished her to Nemesis.
yeah, and here's the thing about sentient Zords: they open up a far greater realm of possibilities
And questions.
and questions. Yeah, and a couple of Power Ranger series touched on these, but not all of them. Most of the times, they're machines. They're stuff we put together, and there's just a limit to their capabilities because there's a limit to machinery. That's just how it is. And so the fact that it's the sentient, mystical, somehow still robotic, guardian beasts, I'm already kind of it pulls me in deep.
So, real quick aside, so they were put to sleep in order to combat Bedora if she comes back. Now, May refers to the ancestors choosing, but Geki that's why I was confused because May refers to the ancestors choosing them to do it, while Geki makes it sound like he experienced it firsthand, and that's what's weird about it. Um, Maybe they're not necessarily from the same time. Maybe you're right; they were just in different areas. Either way, it was weird. And then it moves on to Pandora. Pandora's moved to the moon, and she likes it there because it's dead and void and beautiful.
Oh yeah, a evil space witch dream.
And she's ready to destroy these kids again.
And
But she,
and I
mhm.
will say this is when you're seeing it becomes more familiar if you watch Power Rangers because at this point you're seeing the underling squabbling with each other up in the base, and you finally get to the monster making aspect. This is where I believe just the norm of what this series is going to be is kind of setting itself into.
uh,
In terms of I mean where she's at and how she's going to be operating.
oh yeah. So uh, she goes up to Pleprecon, and he is so grumpy and gives her so much sass. I love it, and she just takes it because he's sitting there being like it's not ready yet, woman, kind of thing. And his shtick is he makes the monsters, bakes them, and they become reality. And he's her monster maker. So he bakes a monster for her, Dora Skeleton, or as I like to call him, Bone Daddy. Uh,
Got the
because
pimp hat and everything.
yeah, he's just this cool skeleton with an awesome hat. Does he have a sword? Did he have a sword?
He has a sword, and I think he had a cape.
Yeah, and a cape, and that's it. Real simple, real nice. Um, and I wrote this down, and now that you've told me that this is the first time they use magic, it makes more sense. But I find it interesting that when you're seeing this contraption, with Jetman, it was all alien. Bandora is almost steampunk. You have this technology that's mixed with like gears and magic, and it uh looks interesting. Uh, I put alchemy steampunk. Anyway, so their plan is to launch the ship back to Earth, where it will draw out the Rangers, basically cause havoc. So it does. And here was by far the weirdest part of anything I've seen. It She shoots it down to Earth. It goes to Japan. It runs around a bit, and then drives past what I assume can only be high school girls. I hope, and flips their skirts the wind flips the skirts and we get a panty shot. And I'm like, I've seen this in manga. I've seen this in anime. I didn't expect to see this in my Sentai. I
Hey,
thought we were
man,
one letter away from
I was
that.
gonna say, Sentai is awfully close to another Japanese treasure. But that being said,
Another Japanese art form.
I will say though, it's goofy. You watch it; it's pretty much a remote-controlled car with a firework in the back. It's speeding through the city. You have a news van literally chasing after it, trying to keep
If
up
you've
with
seen
it.
the end scene of Toy Story, you've seen it.
Yeah, but I will say like it's goofy, but there does remain like a serious tone because the whole time you're hearing the kids scream because they are still in there being blasted. They're luring out the Rangers. And so, as goofy as it is, hearing these terrified children screaming throughout the city, and yeah, I was just like, oh, okay.
That being said, it flashes back to Pleppercon. This was weird too. I know you caught it as well, because his problem is Dora's skeleton is still somehow off. He's not perfect. From there, uh, he's like, oh, I hope I hope he's well. I hope he has good luck. And he kneels and crosses himself. And I'm like, is Leprechaun Christian? Well, okay then.
Hey, you know what? There's no one who condemns people more to hell more than Christians. So it fits. But that
Getting
being said,
political right off the bat, huh?
hey man, we handle the topical issues of the day, like Pokemon Snap being announced. Boom.
Um,
Thanks, Obama. But no, yeah, it was just very weird. Uh, and Japanese culture likes to do this, inject Western themes or stuff, because and not because it has anything to do with the faith. They literally most times has to do with just the aesthetic of it. And so when he stopped and did that, I was just like, huh, okay, odd, but moving on.
yeah,
Because he does that, and at this point, the Rangers have caught wind of this and they're riding on their bikes.
yeah. They're riding on their bikes towards the rocket, and at that point, Dora's skeleton just appears on Geki's back, hits him a bit, and then teleports him away. Um, and it's interesting because he takes him like to this abandoned amusement park. Uh, and they fight a bit. Um, before the other dudes arrive, but as they fight, their their weapons break. Because even once the other ones get here, you see them use their weapons and just straight up, whether it's because they didn't age but their weapons did or whatever. Like May's bow, she pulls it back and just snaps in two. The sword breaks in half. Uh, it's a mess. They don't have weapons. Meanwhile, Dora's skeleton, he can teleport, jump high, shoot literal eye beams, uh, and is just dominating them.
And so, of course, whenever the Rangers get their back against the wall, that means it's morphin time. And I will say, I know I just complained about the morphing in the first one, and albeit that's because it was the first one, and when it's your first morph, I want something bigger. I will say though, it's still more impactful than Jetman, because the morphers in Jetman was literally just pressing a button, you heard the three beeps, and then boom, there they are. This one, at least, it's a bit more of a scene with it, so I appreciate it more. Because that is something I noted that I'm like, it's not going to be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but it is giving me more than Jetman did. So I'm down.
So they transform and fight, but he doesn't give a shit. He fights them and then he transports them away. And once again, we see some campy shit, and I loved it. So they're in this weird like void zone. There's a tree and pumpkins, and they're fighting. And at this moment, out of one of the pumpkins, just fucking rises book bag. And you look at the tree, and the rocket that the kids are in is sitting there. And while everyone is fucking fighting, book bag and Topat walks, sneaks over, and puts a bomb on it with a long ass fuse, and that's their plan. They can't just kill it. And I'm like, really?
I
So yeah,
it's so goofy. Even the bomb they went with is like the most stereotypical. You can imagine Adam West running with this bomb. It's hilarious.
I'm
And
pretty
I
sure you
will
don't
say,
have to imagine it. You can see it.
but I will say, the Rangers are currently fighting the. I just wrote Skelly Grunts, but
Mhm.
they bust out their Ranger swords, and it's their Ranger swords morph into their Ranger guns, and that's what they use. And I will say, because we kind of glossed over it, they can. What they've already done is they've already taken down Dora Skeleton, but as they come to realize this, they break him apart, and he just reforms himself. Pretty much, he is a oh, what's the enemy from Legend of Zelda where you have to blow up the body first?
Stolfo?
Yeah, he's a Stalfo where it's like if you take him down but don't take him down, he
See,
just reforms himself.
I put he went Castlevania on their asses because he breaks them, and then his head zooms around, like causing mischief. Uh,
Which leads to I wrote this. Okay, so the bomb was placed. Geki went ahead and charged them, and manages to leave this Dora skeleton open, and they blast him. But before he can reform, because like we said, this is what he does. This the best conclusion I have ever experienced in a monster fight happens.
yes.
I
Uh,
absolutely love this.
so Dan grabs his cape, wraps his head in it, and at this time, hell's breaking loose. You literally see lava. He runs to a cliff, throws it down, and what what did he say? Like,
Literally go to hell.
okay, there we go. I wasn't sure if it was see you in hell or go to hell. And then bam, he's done. Only Dora Titan attacks again. This time punching through the dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Uh to attack.
Well, he grabs Geki,
Yeah.
takes him out, and funny enough, while everyone's so focused on Geki being taken, they're like, "Oh no!" They never actually put up the bomb. So, and
You're right.
because Bookabak is all like, "Oh, they're gonna get blown up," which they literally did. The bomb goes off, and I just put it blew them out of this dimension because they all took damage when flying out. It's kind of glossed over because obviously the big concern is Geki being held by a giant monster. But yeah, it was just funny to note where it's just like, hey, did we forget something?
At that point, uh the Dino Guardian appears. Particularly one, uh the Tyrannosaurus.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, Geki escapes. He takes his ranger gun, shoots him in the eye,
Yeah.
and they run into a cave because they don't have anything. To their knowledge, they don't have anything to tackle this. They're just literally like, what do we do? What do we do? And yeah, here comes big boy Tyrannosaurus.
And they fight. It's interesting because he goes in there, right? And he merges with them. But you have to what is the word they use? Is it unite? Uh I think it's unite. Um with it. So they put their hands on, they turn it, and it considers them united with the creature, and they fight together. But again, the Dino Guardian, basically had a will of its own. Uh,
Because it showed up and they didn't call for it. They
not
weren't
this
told.
time.
It wasn't the Zordon moment of call your Zords. No, the Guardian Beast just arrives to save the day.
Um, and so they use his special move, one of his special moves, Tyrannosonic. He shoots a sonic blast at the ground, which blows air, sonic waves at Dora Titan, and it does defeat him. And then you see the classic Bandora and Rita thing of complaining about having a headache. And that's how it ends.
Yeah,
Um,
somewhere in the mix of that they save the kids, but but that
uh,
wasn't the
you're
important
you're
thing.
you're right, because what, just to sum it up, what they do is they have him jump out,
Yeah, they freed the kids, and
aim the rocket at
which
his face.
which here's the thing: this rocket changes size 3 times in like the span of 2 shots. Because at this point they're holding in their hand. Think of it as maybe um
Like
what's
a
a good
model car.
yeah, maybe the size of a decent model car or a a laundry basket that you have to hold with 2 hands. It's about that size. And then their plan is to launch it at Door Titan, which they do. But as it's going, it grows even bigger, and so it actually like nails him in the face, and then they vaporize him. But either way, yeah, kids are saved. You get this awesome shot of the guardian beast Tyrannosaurus behind them, and the group comes together, and it's their first victory.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up our episodes with that. Our episode with this, only because we are running super long. Normally we'll do 3 episodes. Today we're gonna do 2. But
And in
before
all
we
fairness,
exit,
we had a two-parter this one, and then this next one's also a two-parter.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you know what? Maybe that's just what two-parters might become, or it's just a big entrance. You know, I mean, we got to talk about it.
Oh yeah, a lot to cover. Um, so we briefly talked about our reactions to the Rangers. I'm gonna say one thing noticed, and it hit very hard, only because we had such strong women characters and actors last season. May seems to have no like emotions, no presence. Everything she says sounds and seems flat. Uh, what do you think?
Um, that was something I noted because, like, in just the intro alone, when they're going over and showing the actors, she looks so deadpan. All she does is just pull her bow, and she's just looking at the camera. No smile, no nothing. It's super stern. It's off-putting, but as far as the character May goes, again, I feel like because this two-parter wasn't about the characters, it was about the Rangers and Bandora. It's hard for me to say if I like her or not because at this point I don't feel like I know any of them. The one I do know, there's two things I know. Don's kind of childish, and Geki's the leader. This is borderline Ninja Turtles because I know loose traits about them, but even
Yeah,
then,
Dan's the party dude. Uh, I assume what's his name? Ghosh is cool but rude.
are you kidding? Boy's cool but rude because he's pretty cool, but
You're
throwing
right.
daggers at a man for reading a book is pretty
You're
damn
you're you're
rude.
right.
But
So
I feel it's too soon for me to make a call. But I definitely see what you're saying though. Compared to Coyote, who was very vocal, and
and
Akko, who was just
Akko, right?
a national treasure to me. Yeah, it was already kind of down, but that's all of them at this point. I don't want to start dismissing the female actor or anything because none of them have showcased who they are yet.
All right, fair.
But I will
Now,
say,
hmm
I like the premise of these characters because they are warriors ripped from their time. It is unique. It is cool. Like even in Power Rangers, you didn't get these. You know who was the distant warriors? They were the six Rangers who came and joined everything. This is really cool to see, and I will say, something I like. They feel like a team because in Jetman, literally it wasn't until
no, you had to build the team.
you had to build it because all of them were thrown into it. These were warriors who were chosen. You have to go off of the idea that they knew each other or at least are familiar with each other.
Or at least accept the social hierarchy.
Yeah, except the social hierarchy of T Rex rules, Triceratops rules. But it's a team already, and I dig it because I had to jump through so many hoops for my Jetman to get on the same page.
Yeah. Um. Other than that, we have seen two monsters. Let's rank them. So, let's start with Dora Titan. On a scale from S rank to F, where
Realize
would you put him?
realize S is probably Goldar level. Uh, F is probably Pudgy Pig level.
No. Pudgy Pig needs to be kind of bad, but not terrible.
Okay,
No.
you know who's
Shitty
F?
should be Rapping Pumpkin.
No. You know who's F?
Who's F?
Tomato King.
Yes. From Grifferzor to Tomato King. Where is Dora Titan?
I will definitely put him maybe on a couple of pegs over the middle. Cause look, it was a basic design.
Yeah.
Look, cause I'm saying not towards the top of the list, but I could definitely put him above like that.
So
That middle
he's
ground.
a C rank monster.
Yeah,
He does his job.
he does the job. They give him the cool red eyes, which you see, and yeah, he was just intimidating enough for your first Titan character, for your first big monster. He worked. I liked it.
You know, I can agree with that. What about Bone Daddy?
Dora Skeleton.
Yeah.
I you know what?
I dug him. I thought he looked cool. I wanted to give him a B, but I don't think he is necessarily
A step below Goldar.
No. Goldar is S. So you have S ranks,
Oh yeah.
A's, B's, C's, D's, E's, and F's.
Okay. I'm willing to give him a B. I don't think
Alright.
I don't think he's right below Goldar, but that pimp hat, his sword, his cape, all he was missing was a pimp walk, dude. Give him the
Again,
Vince McMahon walk, and that man's a certified G. He is a bone daddy to the core.
all right. I think I've covered everything I want to. Do you have anything?
No, man, I'm just glad we're finally kicking this off. It's been hanging over our heads for like what, a month and a half now.
Oh yeah, we've been and then trying to schedule this particular session has been rough. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And we want to leave you on a quote from the episode. So, Jay, why don't you give him one?
Yeah, because Sentai filled with so much wisdom. And I had a wonderful quote. It's buried under all these memes. Oh, all these filthy, filthy memes. Because me and you can't text each other like normal people.
I completely forgot you sent it to me through text. So,
Yeah. Here we go. And hang on to this one because I know the world's kind of in a rough place right now. But so this is coming from the mysterious sage Barza. Justice will defeat evil and restore peace on Earth.
and I will leave you with my quote: "Humanity is garbage."
Spoken exactly like the evil witch Pandora.
All right, thank you for tuning in. I love you.
Hey,
night.
make sure to leave a response wherever you hear this. We don't know where it's going up yet, but hey, we love the feedback. Y'all have a
Oh.
great night.
We also have a Twitter now. At Chojin-Chumps. Follow us because I have no followers. All right, night.